when my neighbor Delilah Thornburg destroyed my mailbox for the 7th time in 2 months. I knew it was war, though she had no idea that I was about to build her the mailbox of her nightmares. It started at 6:00 a.m. when I stumbled outside in yesterday's work clothes, the acrid smell of diesel still hanging in the cool morning air, only to find that my beautiful handcrafted oak mailbox, my grandfather's design that had taken me 3 weekends to perfect, was reduced to splinters scattered across wet asphalt like confetti after a tornado. And as my coffee mug slipped and shattered, hot liquid burning my ankles, the real heat rose in my chest because there she was, Delilah, backing her pristine white SUV out of her driveway, chrome bumper dented, paint scraped, smirk on her face like she was proud. The taste of rage is metallic, bitter, like licking a 9V battery, and that was the moment I realized she wanted demolition derby with my property. But fine, if that's the game, then I'd build something she couldn't break, and maybe before I tell you what happened next you should know how I ended up in this suburban nightmare. My name is Marcus Atrix. I'm 52, recently divorced, moved to Willowbrook subdivision hopping for peace after 20 years in the Navy Seabees. The guys who build airstrips under fire, throw up bridges while bullets fly. So civilian life felt like it should be easy. Retirement meant handyman work around town, weekends tinkering in the garage, waving at neighbors who waved back, and my modest ranch house on Maple Street was perfect. Good bones, morning sunlight in the yard. But what the real estate agent didn't mention was the HOA, established in 1987, with more rules than a military base and twice the bureaucracy. A place of manicured lawns, identical mailboxes, spotless driveways, and houses painted only in cream, sage, or warm beige, which all looked suspiciously the same. And ruling this suburban kingdom was none other than Delilah Thornburg, 47, a real estate agent with prestige properties, the self-appointed enforcer of neighborhood standards, a woman with perfectly styled blonde hair that never moved, designer workout clothes she never worked out in, and a gleaming Escalade she polished daily, who also happened to be the HOA treasurer for 6 years unopposed. The first time we met, I was installing my grandfather's mailbox, solid oak with hand-carved details and a peaked roof that smelled of cedar and linseed oil, when she arrived, heels crunching on gravel, voice like honey over broken glass. "Excuse me, I'm Delilah Thornburg, HOA treasurer." That mailbox is not in compliance, but I showed her the bylaws I'd saved on my phone. Section 4.3, natural wood allowed, height under 36 inches, staining acceptable, so every box was checked, yet her smile froze as she said, "Perhaps you misunderstood the aesthetic guidelines. We maintain certain standards." Dragging the word standards like she wasn't just talking about wood and nails, but about me not belonging. Then leaning on my background like she dug into my military record, and when I said, "The mailbox stays," she pursed her lips, snapped photos, and drove off with her Escalade engine purring like money. And by Friday my mailbox was rubble, posts snapped, flower bed torn, tire tracks carved through mulch. But when I called the police, Officer Martinez shrugged that without witnesses or video it was he said she said. And by Monday, I had a cease and desist letter on thick cream paper embossed with Thornburg and Associates, threatening $500 daily fines for violating community harmony standards, which sounded like nonsense, but felt like a weapon, though military problem-solving taught me that intimidation by paperwork often means shaky legal ground. So I went to the county courthouse, pulled Willowbrook's 1987 incorporation papers, and found that 90% of Delilah's current rules had never been formally adopted since rule changes required 60% homeowner approval and written notice, meaning she was running a dictatorship on fancy stationery. I dug deeper, requesting financial records, documenting every conversation, filling a green Navy notebook with timestamps and photos, then unexpectedly found backup in the form of 78-year-old Ruth Kowalski, retired paralegal and secret neighborhood operative, who arrived with oatmeal cookies and a folder thicker than a phone book, revealing years of evidence that Delilah harassed families until they sold cheap and moved. After which she bought or listed their homes below market and flipped them, systematically gentrifying for profit. And this wasn't just personal, it was corruption. So I built mailbox number 2, Same design but with a hidden infrared security camera. And 4 nights later, I caught live footage of a dark SUV rolling up at 3 a.m. Headlights off. Driver smashing my mailbox with a bat, distinctive dent on the rear quarter panel glowing under infrared. Delilah's escalade, irrefutable. She escalated with a petition accusing me of noise, illegal business, aggressive behavior, half the signatures forged. And soon I faced inspectors for bogus complaints, burning my time and patience. But I gained another ally in Jorge Santos, my neighbor 2 doors down. Cybersecurity guy with a ring system covering half the street, whose footage captured Delilah going door to door with a clipboard spreading lies, and whose IT skills revealed her property value data was fabricated. Because Willowbrook values had actually risen 12% in 3 years, so when she held an emergency HOA meeting calling me a threat to community safety and plastered my house on a giant screen like a wanted poster, Ruth stood up with legal precision, citing MLS records to prove Delilah's fraud, while Jorge's bodycam evidence showed her manipulating residents with fake slides, and together we laid out her scheme. Harassing owners into selling cheap, buying or listing through her company Prestige Properties, depressing comps temporarily, then flipping for profit, all under the guise of protecting the neighborhood. The emergency meeting turned into a tribunal where whispers filled the room, residents seeing through her mask for the first time, and I stood steady, not in uniform but carrying the same confidence I'd had in hostile zones, realizing that the battle wasn't just about a mailbox. It was about exposing a petty tyrant who turned community rules into a weapon for personal gain. And when Delilah saw her empire unraveling under the weight of real evidence, I almost pitied her, but only almost. Because in Willowbrook, property values weren't the only thing about to rise, so was justice. And I wasn't done building yet, not by a long shot.